aqua friends, welcome to my channel. Today I have this beautiful magnolia flower, and you can use any sort of magnolia flower bloom for your reference photo. The one that I found is from a Facebook group called Free Reference Photos for Artists, and the photographer is Sabine Go, so you can look up that photographer and find the exact same photo if you want to follow along and paint this beautiful magnolia flower. I'm starting off wet on wet, and we're going to actually work each petal separately. It's going to be a very realistic interpretation of this beautiful flower, and I just love the wet on wet technique. I love how the colors blend together. So as you can see, this shine on my paper, so your paper should be shiny. You're working with just clean water and you're wetting the petal, so it's like painting with water. Once it's nice and shiny, you can start adding the colors that you see on the petal. The white we have to portray in very soft, muted colors of some purples and blues, kind of where you might see some of the shadows. And then I'm going straight for using my pink. And for the pink, I'm using permanent rose or quinacridone rose. It's basically the same pigment color, so it depends on what brand that you would like to use. You do want to make sure that you're wetting a petal that is not going to bump into the petal that you just painted, because that one is drying, and if you were to butt right up to that, there is a chance that you would create a back run, a bloom, a cauliflower, whatever you would like to call it, and it would wreck that smooth effect that you have. So I'm taking my time wetting that petal. It is nice and shiny. I could go straight into putting in those blues. Picking up cobalt blue is what I'm using for my blue here. And then I'm always changing my color. So notice I didn't even rinse off my brush. So I'm going straight in for some of that pink that I have. It's going to mix a little bit in that mid-ground of this petal and become a little purpley. So you have all these beautiful transitions of color. The more red that I pick up, the more pink it's going to be. The pink petal is most vibrant right at the root, and notice that's where I'm concentrating that pigment from. Now, all the time we're painting, our petal is drying. I try to move around the petal and continue adding paint so that it stays wet as long as I need it to be in order to get these colors in there. This is the main petal of this tulip, or this magnolia flower. It also looks like a tulip tree blossom, so I'm not sure if it's magnolia or a tulip tree blossom, but they look very similar. So my paper is drying a lot now. I can't do too much. Now, if there is some lighter areas I want to get back, I'm using a damp liner brush, and I am just brushing that through for some vein effects. The petal is turned over on one side, so I'm taking some extra paint here to get that turnover. So you're going to continue working each petal the same way. So it's pretty simple, right? You're going to wet your paper. Once it's nice and shiny, you start adding the colors. Now, if you come to an area where you can't do anything because all of your areas are wet, you could just let the whole thing dry and then continue each petal, or you can dry it with a hair dryer or drying tool. The petals that don't have too much pink or no pink at all, then you do want to concentrate on where you do see the shadows and use your blues and purples to portray those shadows. Now notice that when I'm painting, I'm always using a rag to wipe off my paintbrush or a piece of paper towel, because it's all about controlling the moisture to get these delicate lines. Now the base of this flower has this petal shape that has a lot of browns and warm colors. So for the base, I am using burnt sienna. I am going to paint this the exact same way, wetting it first and mixing my burnt sienna with some of my reds in my palette, the pinks, to get this nice deep color. The edges are quite dark, and for this I am using some sepia. If you don't have sepia, you can also grab a little bit of green because they're contrasting on the color wheel. The red and the green will create a very dark burgundy color. Now, I did feel like it wasn't dark enough. When I look at the value of that area of the flower, it's a lot darker. So I'm going in with another layer of color here. Concentrating that darkness at the very base of the petal. So for the greens, I do have sap green in my palette. I have a warm yellow, and I'm just using those colors. This is not the main attraction, it's just a tiny little shoot, and I am not going to put that much detail in this area. So for getting definition of shapes, you're always changing the amount of pigment in your brush, either more or less. There comes Finley to check out what I'm doing. All right, so drying that up. Now that I have all those little tiny areas in place, I'm wetting the whole branch so that I could put the colors of the branch in. Now the branch is not really that brown. I'm using the same cobalt blue, and I just love the combination of using the cobalt blue with the burnt sienna. They cancel each other out and they create this beautiful neutral color. Using my sap green for these delicate little petal shoots off to the side. This pretty much concludes that branch. Now, because our light source is coming from the top through these petals, I did want to put a tiny little glaze of some of the pink over top of my branch to give it that reddish hue a little bit because of the pinkness of the petals. Now, this could be a beautiful painting all on its own. You do not need to add the background, but I just loved the background as well. And since this flower has a lot of white in it, I figured that it would pop a lot more if there was a contrast in the background. So backgrounds could be tricky to try to prevent any sort of blooms or backruns and hard edges. So that's the trick of trying to create these backgrounds. So even though I'm trying to wet as much of the paper as I can, there is no way that it'll stay wet long enough for me to get into all these nooks and crannies. So I'm going to start in one corner and concentrate on getting my colors in as much as I can. And as long as I have the wetness in front of me and keep the paper wet, then I should be okay. Now I know that doesn't make sense now, but you'll see what I mean as I start painting this. So the bottom right hand of my paper is extremely saturated compared to the left-hand side, right? Well, I'm not worried about that because I know that I'll never get around to that corner in time. So concentrating and making sure that my paper stays wet in front of me. That's all I care about. Then I'm not going to have any hard edges. I'm not going to have any blooms as long as I continue with that same wetness. So I'm mixing up my greens and the browns that I'm using, and basically that is all I'm using for this background. So I have my sap green, I have shadow green, and burnt sienna, and transparent brown oxide, and sepia in my palette. Now, especially around those nooks and crannies inside the petals, you do have to be careful about that. And just try not to paint over your petals. So you might need a really nice fine tip brush to get into those nooks and crannies. So I'm working fast, trying to get through those little areas that are important. And I'm at the point now where I need to start wetting the paper in front of me. So here I go. I'm spraying it a little bit because I'm worried about having hard edges. Okay, so a little spritz. Now I'm taking my big brush and I'm moving that wetness over. So it gives me time to add in more colors. All right, so I'm taking a wet brush and adding that wetness and going around the petals and bringing it out to the side there. So as long as I stay behind that wetness, I'll be okay. You'll be okay too. Yeah, because to try to do it all in one shot, it's very stressful and it's just not going to happen. You have to get into all these tiny nooks and crannies around the petals, and you're just not going to have enough time. And why stress yourself out? That's what I say. Why stress yourself out? Might as well do it in little baby steps like this. Last area to wet. Bringing in a bit more of the burnt sienna to balance out the background here. Now my paper's drying quite a bit. This wouldn't be a magical painting, a creative last painting, unless I added a few bokeh lights here. Now I did have a big oopsie. See what just happened there? My sponge was way too wet and I created a bloom. It's pulling up a ton of pigment there and I was like, ah, crap. So what am I doing? I'm trying to cover up that mistake by adding more lights in that little top corner there. But oh well, you know, things happen, so you have to improvise. Now, when the whole thing dries, if you do find that too distracting, you can add a little glaze of some of the color back. But I thought it looked okay, and that's the final painting. And if you enjoyed doing these florals, then check out this next floral right here. I'll meet you there. Thanks for watching.